Hi, hello, how are you? Thanks for stopping by. Today we're going to talk to some real people about some real things, living real lives, doing real stuff. This is the Working Perspectives Podcast. I'm Matt Lavelle, accompanied by special guest host Justin Richardson, and our guest today is the terrific Todd Widun. J-Dub, how are you feeling, my man? You ready to do this?
Feeling good, feeling loose.
Looking loose, looking good. All right. Well, you can find all our content and all our stuff on all podcast platforms and YouTube at Working Perspectives Podcast. You can handle us on Instagram at Working Perspectives Podcast and join us on the Twitter and the TikTok at Working P Pod. If you'd like to be a guest in the show and get approval from the PAAA to be a guest and share your story, then join us and email us at workingperspectives@gmail.com. All right. Let's get this thing started. Let's go.
It's our objective to be effective by voicing societies. Working perspective, exploring your day and how you get paid. Launching a new episode every Tuesday. Your day can transform while we inform with new episodes available on every platform. So check out our line and how we get live. Then do us a solid. Share and subscribe. We're just sharing. We're just sharing. We're just sharing. Working perspectives.
Our guest today is Todd Widun. So let me tell you about this guy, J-Dub. So you've worked at a bunch of places, right? And I've worked you worked at it. You've worked at a lot. And we're gonna find out about some of them. But so I've worked at a bunch too. And what happens is when you work at places, right? Like there's guys that you click with right away, and you're like, okay, this guy is like in work homie, but out of work homie too.
Yeah,
you know what
I have
mean?
I have one person from like every job that I've like held on to. There's like one person that's cool that like you're like, when I get fired, we're still gonna hang out.
Dude, have you worked in an office before?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So in an office, right, you can have people you're cool with in an office, but there's people in an office that you're cool with, but then there's other people where like you can actually talk to them like a real person. And you don't have to talk to them like you're, like a robot in an office, right? Like you can say actual words that you would say outside of the office. You can curse and talk about bullshit, So when you find someone like that, it's rare, but you have to like suss them out. So I was working at my job now. I won't say the name of the company, but I was working there now. And then I'm in my department, and all of a sudden they hire somebody new, right? This new strapping young good looking fella, right? And so he comes in, and I'm not gonna lie, it was like the first or second day we would like start talking, and we hit it off like instantly. I'm like, this fucking guy gets it. He fucking all right. But it was almost like a breath of fresh air, because like that's like the one thing about like working in an office that I don't like is like the politicking and stuff. It is what it is. It's part of the office life. What are you going to do? Right. But, and like, also the way the world is now is that I'm almost like scared to talk to some people, because I might say something that I thought was normal. Yeah. That's like a trigger word now. And I'm like, when did that become a trigger word? And they're like, well, yesterday. And I'm like, what? Who fucking sent the memo on the trigger words?
Right? Terrible at it. I don't have a filter. And I literally was getting off the elevator the other day. I work at a hospital in and out. And I was like, this girl. And I like pointed at her, and she like looked at me like, I was like, Ann, sorry. And I was just like, you can't address people like that. Like, I just like pointed at her. I was like, this girl. Yeah. It came off all like aggressive. I was like, dude, I'm sorry. I'm an ape.
Yeah, no, but all you said was this girl. Right?
Yeah, but it just came off like very aggressive. Like, I have a name. I'm like, and I know your name. I don't know why I said that like that.
I mean, but you're just being funny. Like, you can't even be funny in the office anymore. Like, the one thing I'm great at is being fucking hilarious, right? That's number one here with this guy, So I'm being fucking hilarious, and you can't even be fucking hilarious in the office, because people are like, and it's not that you're being offensive. right? It's that anyone, if they have a chance to claim offense, they'll do it. That's the bullshit, right? Is that if you're being outwardly offensive, I agree. There's no place for that. There's no room for that, right? And like it doesn't, it shouldn't exist, and it's not fun or anything. And I get that, and we're not political here by any means, but that's just like being a normal good person.
My goal is to be harmless.
Yes.
But the toting the line of being harmless or not is also what's funny.
But also it's like you can't be a fucking robot either. Like you got it, like making jokes is making jokes, right? Like if you're making a joke that's not outwardly offensive and you're just being funny or clever, then there shouldn't be anything against that. But I think that, now people will use it to gain like political favor or just, up their standing or something like that. If that's and that doesn't even really work, because usually the higher ups are like, yeah, you're a piece of shit, but apparently you're pulling a fucking, you're flagging this person for whatever.
Once you find out what the higher ups in your company are like really up to, you're like, oh yeah, you can talk. I can talk however I want.
Yeah, actually, one of the higher ups of my company, I talk to like a normal person, and it's fucking great because he's hilarious. Right? There
are. I would say out of the like 5 major jobs I've had, I think there's only like 4 I haven't ended up doing drugs with my boss. People like me and they like doing drugs with me.
Hey man, once they know you're cool and you can keep your mouth shut, I think that's like more, that means a lot more than someone who can click a button every day, right? So, all right, but either way, so hit it off with Todd right away, and then ever since then, he's been like, when I told him I was having the show, he's been like one of the biggest fans. He listens every week. We talk about the episode every week, right? Like he's just like, I can't thank him enough for the support and like everything he does. And I was super excited when he does like everyone else should do that wants to be a guest on the Working Perspectives podcast. He emailed us at workingperspectives@gmail.com and asked to be a guest on the show. So anyone else that wants to do like Todd Widun did and be a guest on the Working Perspectives podcast, guess what you have to do? Just got to email us at workingperspectives@gmail.com. Crazy, right?
That easy.
Crazy. It's that easy, right?
That
and he's
easy.
he's not the first one that did it, but I think he's the second. But we're booked till, people want to email us, we're booked, but I'll freaking book you. But super happy that he likes the show and is a fan of the show and is very supportive of the show. And like I said, like I talk to it, we can talk about anything. So when we talk about stuff on the show, he's not going to use it to get offended. We're going to talk about what happened. Right. And it's like good conversation and great feedback too. So, can't appreciate that enough. So I was super happy, super excited when he decided to come on. He's doing great. He's married. He has a kid. He's living in New England where the Patriots are, right? He's a Pats guy. Well, he's not a Pats guy, but he lives where the Pats fans are. We won't talk about what football team he likes, but either way, he lives in New England and he's married. He's got a kid. He's doing his thing. I'm really happy that he came on. Before we get started, though, Todd, I just wanted to ask, have you seen the movie Bohemian Rhapsody? And if yes, what'd you think of that piece of shit movie?
I've seen that movie, and it is 100% garbage. Garbage. Like, I'm a big Queen fan. Like, I love the music and everything, but it just, it wasn't for me. I didn't like it.
It's the worst. It's the absolute worst.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. It's garbage. It's the absolute garbage.
Garbage, man.
Total garbage. But no, I'm with you, man. But how you doing, buddy? Thanks for coming on.
Doing good, man. Thanks for having me on, man.
Hey, of course. So how's your week going? Everything good up in New England?
So far, we just, we had a little hurricane, but, the past weekend, but you know what? We survived and we're good.
Nice. You didn't pack the car at Harvard Yard or anything?
Nah, no parking the car out here, man.
How far are you from Boston?
I'm about.
He's closer. You're closer to New York than Boston, right?
No, I'm closer to Boston where I live. I'm close. I'm about an hour and a half out of Boston. I'm about 2.5 hours out of New York.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm wicked close to Boston.
Ooh, wicked pisser.
Wicked.
The closest I ever got to Boston, we were packing the car to leave in the morning, and we were going for a bachelor party.
Sure.
I put like my last bag in the car, and the marathon bomb went off.
Oh.
And we watched it on the news, and we were like, do we still? And we didn't go to Boston. We went to Baltimore, and that's all I know about Boston.
Wow. Wow. Well,
What are the odds? The morning
yeah.
we were leaving for Boston.
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, we were supposed
Patriots
to
Day, man.
that like hotel that was right there. I forget what it begins with, like an L, whatever that
Yeah.
hotel was. We were like supposed to stay in it.
Jesus, man. Wow. Well, man, you call it the Lucky Hotel because that's fucking you were fucking lucky not to stay there. Jesus Christ. Well, speaking of bachelor parties, Justin, gone to any recently?
I just got back from Seattle. So I have a set of brothers who are 10 years younger than me. My youngest brother's getting married. He's 24.
Yeah.
And I
24.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Jeez.
Todd, how old were you when you got married?
I was 26.
Oh, all
right.
right. I was
Yeah.
32.
Hold
Who
on.
the hell knows?
7 years.
I'm 36. I say maybe like 3, maybe 4 more years till I get married.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
I will, and I will tell you, do not rush it, my man. Do not
Nah,
rush
take your
it.
time.
Not
Yeah.
in a hurry.
I mean, life
Um,
expectancy now, you don't have to get married when we're 15 anymore. You know, like we're good. But
But I went
nice.
to Sea Isle and got all banged up with them. I think I bruised one of my ribs
Which one?
right below my left nipple. It hurts.
Oh,
It hurts when I
baby.
laugh. But my skin's not bruised on the outside.
You could have bruised it. I actually had a cracked rib one time. I had a fight in Jersey, and I was in the cage. It was in the cage, and my back was against the cage. And this guy came in, and I threw like this big loopy right hand, and he came underneath with a knee and hit me right in the ribs. And I was like, mother, like, dude, it hurt. It hurt so bad. I almost went down. Right. And I was like, oh God. And I tried to get him off me by throwing it too. And I tried to throw, I was like, oh, that's not going anywhere. Right. And then I just was like, get the fuck away from me, you know? And I started like punching at him. But yeah, that was, dude, those things, I'll tell you, ribs fucking suck because they suck to heal too. Because like you could be sleeping on a nice, comfortable bed. And guess what? It's going to fucking hurt. You know, like you move.
As soon as
or
I wake
stretch.
up, I'm like, and then I like breathe in deep. And I'm like, oh yeah, that still hurts. And yeah, now that I'm 36, this is gonna take like, I don't know, 7 months to heal, I think.
If not longer. Yeah.
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 And
Nice.
like what happened was like nothing compared to the things that I used to do to my body. And you
Yeah.
wake up and feel fine.
Yeah.
It didn't hurt at the moment either. It hurt when I woke up the next day. I was like, I feel old.
How old are you, Todd?
I'm 37.
All right.
Yeah,
So
you know.
yeah. Fucking dude, I'll tell you what. It's when you hit 30. When you hit 30, right?
Oh yeah.
And when you start, like, even in your late 20s, you get a little touch of it. But when you hit 30 and you start drinking, the world fucking is changed. It's over, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's the hangovers are 3 days long. You're fucking dead, right? They kill you. Oh yeah.
The only
Yeah.
way I can drink the following day is if I wake up and start, like, I woke up the next morning Saturday from the bachelor party and just started drinking again because I
You
was
have
so
to.
hungover. I was like, the only way I will stay awake
Oh,
is
you
if I
got
get drunk.
yeah, you got to do the hair of the dog right there. Man.
Yeah.
Just get at it again.
I got a bunch of Jersey pork roll and a bunch of Michelob
Ooh.
Ultras.
Ooh.
Oof.
Just got to work, you know.
Yeah, man. Sure. You got it. Hey, man, you got to do it somehow, pal. Then that's the only way to do it. I wonder, like, where did that saying come from? Take a little hair off the dog that bit you. You know, like,
Werewolves, probably. It's probably how you cure werewolfism. You have to get the hair of the dog to cure you.
no, makes sense. Makes sense.
I made all that up. I have no idea. I'm
It
sorry.
makes complete sense. So nice. All right. Well, that'd be a good thing. I know that. Funny enough, I listened to. There's another show. I'm going to shout them out called the 10ish Podcast. It's a really good show, right? Where they take like a top 10 like ish list of things. Like one they did was like they did like the best Jim Carrey movies, and they did like God, what was another one? I don't know. Like the number one porn searches. You know what I mean? 2020. Guess what the number one search porn category was?
Blacks on blondes.
Nope. Interracial wasn't even in the top 10.
Good.
I
We've come a
mean-
long way.
Yeah. It was, well, I mean, it's kind of interracial, but the number one searched topic on Pornhub was Japanese, not Asian, Japanese. Asian, I think, was 4, right? But Japanese specifically was number 1. Yeah.
In the United States?
No, in the world. It was it was number one in Japan and number one in the world.
And everyone agrees.
Yeah, I was like, really, Japanese? I mean, but you still had your favorites in there. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, we'll not get on that topic, but either way. So we're here to talk about Todd Widun. So Todd here was born in Hartford, Connecticut, and grew up in Enfield, Connecticut. He went to public school, K through 12. He did a little tech school afterwards and stuff. But while in public school, don't let him fool you, J-Dub. This guy was a star. He was a total star. All right. He was the linebacker on the football team. He was the starting on the basketball team. He played a little baseball, he did it all. Right. So he's still playing basketball today. He started there early. I feel like basketball is your number one sport. Would you say that, Todd?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What position did you play?
I mean, I was center, small forward, power forward. I was down low.
Nice. You getting in there, throwing some balls.
Getting in there. I was scrappy.
Mixing up, throwing a little elbows there. Yeah. Fucking A. Giving them the Matumbo elbow, huh?
Absolutely.
Dude, I'll tell you what. I played so wrestling is a winter sport. There's wrestling shits all over basketball like you wouldn't believe. Like if you go to a wrestling tournament as a kid, they have t-shirts like wrestling shitting on one of the t-shirts that says the most beautiful thing about a basketball court is when it's covered in wrestling mats or something along those lines, right? I didn't
know about this secret rivalry.
It's just wrestlers think basketball players are, the biggest wimps ever, which I mean they are.
No contact versus.
Yeah. Well, they're not the biggest wimps, but if you whenever you see the guys fighting in the NBA, or if you watch the videos of the playground brawls at a basketball game, you know what I mean? They're so bad. Everyone's just what's up, man? What's up, man? And doing this, it's awful.
I mean, they all have long reaches, you're going to fight a guy who's 6'5" with a 6'9" reach,
True,
you got to stay back.
True. What were you saying, Todd?
Well, you can't. I mean, look at the 80s basketball compared to now.
True.
The 80s, early 90s basketball.
Bill Lambier would Bill Lambier would rip someone's.
Oh my God.
Fucking loved Bill Lambier.
I would love to have Bill Lambier, Dennis Rodman.
Oh,
geez. There's so many other ones out there. I would even have Charles Barkley in there. You know what? Give me Shaq now and have those guys go up against these guys this year.
Isaiah Thomas choked his coach.
Yeah.
They wanted
Latrell,
it back then.
so Latrell
Sprewell, yeah.
Do you remember? Yep. So apparently, do you know who was voted the dirtiest player in the NBA back then? Our boy, and my mom's favorite player of all time, old Johnny Stockton, was voted the dirtiest player in the NBA. Apparently, when he's inside, he's elbowing you and throwing, just really getting dirty. And the thing was, it's if you tried anything, he was just hey, Carl, Mr. Malone, and Malone just goes in and come on, dude, I'll tell you what, Malone, I think I read something somewhere where Malone, his entire career, he had a 30-inch waist or a 32-inch waist. So could you imagine his shoulders where he was so fucking big, right? He was, and then just a 30-inch waist, forget it. He was a monster. Oh my God. Malone. And then even guys like Ewing too, and Reggie Miller, and dude, I'll give you one. I'll give you a Larry Johnson. Oh, dude.
From the original Charlotte Hornets.
Oh yeah. Him and Muggsy.
Then he went to the Knicks. Oh, that was a bad dude.
Dude, and when he was in UNLV and he had the silver tooth, right? Or the gold tooth, he was bro, he was everyone was terrified of Larry Johnson. And he was another one that had shoulders that looked like he was wearing shoulder pads. Ugh. Wasn't he in Space Jam too? Wasn't he one of the Monstars?
Muggsy.
I want to say yes.
Muggsy definitely was. Dude, Charlotte was over. Dude, I mean, remember how many people did you see that had Charlotte Hornets starter jackets?
Oh God.
Great colorway.
Oh, it was awesome. It was awesome. And this emblem and everything. And it was unisex, both boys and girls could wear them and it'd be cool,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Starter jackets. Those are the best.
Oh, Justin, I mean, you can tell I know your story and it's a tough one. It's a tough one.
I leaped a fence at like 12 years old and tore the front down my white Eagles starter jacket.
Yeah.
And I hadn't cried from like, I was trying to, like, I was a tough boy, and I like bawled because I knew my parents weren't going to buy me another one. And like, they didn't exist anymore. Like I had it from like 1994.
Yeah.
And it was so upsetting. I was so upset. I like walked home. I was just like,
was it the black and Kelly green or the white and
the
gray?
bottom was black. The top of it was white. Like it had it was like the home one.
Oh yeah.
It was mostly white. I kept I took care of none of the things I owned except for that.
Yeah. I have
What did you say? It was an Eagles jacket?
Oh yeah.
It was the Eagles pull.
That's
you mean the
you
best
could rip
football
that. It's
team
okay.
ever?
You and your trash people, fans of any teams up there in your trash town?
He's actually from
Do you guys have sports up there? I don't know. Like
he's a fan of it. He's a fan of a team in Texas.
Are you really?
I am.
Are you a Cowboys fan?
I am a Cowboy fan. Yeah.
What's
Born
like
and raised. I'm not one of those homers that jumped on the bandwagon or anything like that.
How could you watch your home team win 7 out of 9 Super Bowls and root for Dallas when they don't make the playoffs one time?
You're seeing Brady just like collect rings. You're like, well, we got fucking Romo, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you would have caught that snap, they would have made the second round of the playoffs that year. I swear.
Well,
that's what I've been saying.
Yeah.
And Dez caught the ball, by the way, too, against the Packers.
I low-key agree with you. I don't tell a lot of people that, but that was a catch.
Yeah,
that was a catch.
I've seen people catch.
Well, fuck them. If it couldn't happen to a better piece of shit team,
I care if you never win a football game again. Wouldn't make me sad at all.
Dude, I was at the 44-6 game. Oh my god, that was the best. The best. Yeah,
they tried to trade my 2K player to the Dallas Mavericks, and I refused because I'm not going to play for Dallas.
No,
anything
can't
Dallas,
do it, won't do it.
No. Apparently, it's like Fort Wayne and like Arlington. The surrounding cities are very nice.
I bet it's lovely. I'll never go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. Where does Rogan live? Where's he at? Houston,
Austin.
All right, I'll check out there. But I don't know. Texas, they don't know how to handle like snowstorms. Apparently, like what the fuck,
There are more tigers in Texas than there are anywhere else in the world.
What?
Yep. That is a fact.
Whoa, back it up. Tigers.
More people privately own tigers, and the population of tigers in Texas is higher than it is in the world.
What?
That's how many tigers are owned in Texas.
What? Is that real?
Is that from Texas and Florida
gimmick? Or the King, the movie?
Yeah, they talk about it in that. Is that there are more tigers in Texas?
What's the number 2 state for tigers?
I don't know. India, maybe. It's in the world. Like where else?
Where the continent of Africa? What is? Are tigers indigenous to Africa? Do I just sound like a moron?
I think.
I know they're I know they're in Asia. My uncle was in Vietnam, and when he was in Vietnam, they killed a tiger, and he has a picture of him with a dead tiger. The tiger is legit like 11 feet long, right? Yeah. And my uncle's like 5'7", 5'8", but normal, right? And this tiger is huge, right? And it was like, dude, I was like, Jesus Christ.
There's like in India, they still they have to round up all the men in the village and stop the tiger from taking people by the river. What are you doing on Thursday? Like me and the guys are getting together. We're gonna go run the tiger out of town.
Oh yeah, Tony's back, and it's not great.
Tiger got another youngster. Let's round up the men.
Oh man, dude, that's crazy.
Imagine
I'd rather a tiger than a hippo. Apparently hippos are just like.
What is it? The dangerous animal in the world? Most dangerous animal?
I believe so. Dude, I saw a thing the other day where a hippo is just like munching on a lion, right? Just like rah, Dude, believe it. It's a minivan with like the jaw strength of like 20 million pounds or whatever it is. It's incredible, and they're mean. Hippos are not nice. They fool you with that Fantasia thing. They're mean.
They live with crocodiles and they don't get messed with by crocodiles.
Sure.
They're well respected.
Yeah. Crocs
birds clean their teeth. They just sit there with their mouth open. Birds clean their teeth.
Really?
Hippos know what they're doing, yo.
Yeah. They're like, hey, don't break the rules. Don't mess around. Don't go near my kids. Don't mess up my water and we'll be fine. But okay, so let's get back to Todd. So, Todd, I wanted to ask you this. So, in
Yeah.
Pennsylvania, right, football's king in Pennsylvania, right? And as far as like high school sports go, wrestling is very big down here as well. Basketball is kind of big. Baseball is okay, but football is number one. And then wrestling, low key, is like way up there. But
Yeah.
what would you say is like the biggest high school sport in Connecticut?
So I would say it's a toss up. Like I definitely think basketball and soccer are definitely up there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, close with lacrosse is coming up too.
Really?
You know, yeah.
So like the biggest, like the hottest selling tickets for high school sport events are like soccer, lacrosse, basketball.
Yep.
I could see basketball because of like UConn and everything like that. And you got like that was really big for a long time, especially like women's basketball, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like is women's basketball in high school, like a women's high school basketball, a big thing in Connecticut?
Oh yeah.
I've really. So like
huge.
they all want to like go to UConn and play for, you know, whatever his name is, Gino or something.
Gino is God out here, man.
Really?
Oh yeah, he doesn't do anything wrong.
A women's high school or women's college basketball coach.
Yep.
Like is like the Joe Paterno. Well, maybe not Joe Paterno.
Yeah, let's not use Joe Paterno.
What did he win? 11 in a row? 8 in a row? What was the UConn's record?
I think it was.
Oh yeah, they've won. Yeah, they won like 7 or 8 in a row. They've been to the Final Four like a ridiculous number of times.
Yeah, maybe that's what the stat is.
Oh yeah,
it was Griner, right? Brittany Griner that beat him.
Yeah, she was on
from Baylor. Yeah.
Jesus, man. I'll tell you what. You know who's a female basketball player that gets overlooked from that time period was a Miss Skylar Diggins. Have you looked her up? She played for Notre Dame. Look her up. Would be a nice treat. So, all right. So let's keep it moving. So you played basketball. How did you like playing basketball? Like, because you've played it your whole life and you still play. So how do you like it?
I mean, I love it. It's great. I mean, like you said, I've played it since I was, 6, 7 years old.
Yeah.
And now, all through high school, and then just now I'm starting to teach my daughter how to play, and it's great. I love it.
Yeah. That's fun. That's a blast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She made her first, she's only 5 and she made her first shot, on a 10-foot hoop a couple weeks ago already.
Oh,
so, her excitement was on. It was awesome.
Dude.
Yeah.
That's badass. Like a 5-year-old being able to throw a ball in a 10-foot hoop. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Nice, man. Dude, that's great. That must have been like the most proud moment of your life thus far, right?
So far, besides the birth. Yeah. I mean, that's it, man.
Kid's been doing nothing up until now.
Yeah, nothing up until then. Walking, talking, forget about
boring.
it. Absolutely.
Yeah. Dude, that's great. Man, that's awesome, man. Happy to hear. That's gonna be fun. I'm excited for something like along those lines too with my daughter, where it's like, I don't know what sports to do. A lot of people tell me gymnastics for young girls is really good, but I don't know, or dance or whatever the hell she wants to do. As long as she does something, I don't care.
Yeah, something with good coordination, get that solid footwork.
She's already climbing everything, which is scary. Oh my God, the amount of stuff these kids can climb is unbelievable.
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous.
You think it's like, they don't have the upper body strength, but like they're climbing like railings and stuff, and I'm like, what the hell is this? Where did but what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Turn your back for a second and they're up climbing on the cabinets.
Man, that is, dude, I'll tell you what, that's the stuff that wakes me up in the middle of the night where like I think of her near the stairs or something and I'm just like, oh my God. But what are you gonna do? So nice. So basketball, that was your big game, but you also played football, right? So when you were in high school, right? You played, you played linebacker, right?
Yep.
And you played quarterback, right? Yep. And little wide receiver, right?
Yeah.
You hearing this, J-Dub? Like, that's what I'm saying, man.
It's a stud.
You can't be
we didn't. I mean, you had to because we didn't have a lot of kids on the team. So, you had to play both sides. And, the quarterback thing was real quick. The guy that was playing quarterback broke his nose. So we needed a backup. Nobody wanted to do it. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I can throw a football. Let's try it.
Hell yeah.
Threw it. Was in a preseason game. Broke my left thumb. That was the end of it. I think I played a couple more. I think I played 1 or 2 more games after that, and that was the end of that.
They let me pitch for like 2 weeks in Gwen Nor, and it was the happiest 2 weeks of my life. And then I like hit too many kids, like, all right, you're done. I was like, man, remember, I would have been a good pitcher. They just should have let me rein in.
What kind of pussy doesn't want to play with a broken nose? Like, who gives a shit about a broken nose? Come on.
I need to breathe, especially when you get a mouth guard in.
Dude, look at, like, my nose has been broken so many times. My sister broke it when I was 9. Never got it fixed. Like, look at this thing. It's like silly putty, like, come on, who needs a nose, right? I remember one time I went to a gym and they were like I was at like the front desk. It was like one of the first times I was there. And they're like, hey, you need to sign a waiver if you're going to come here. And I was like, all right. And then the one guy was like, yeah, with a nose like that, you better sign a waiver. I was like, motherfucker, I just met you. Like, you're going to shit all over my nose. But yeah, so there you go. So nice. So you did a little of that at football. Nice. And then was your team any good or no?
I wouldn't say we were good. I mean, we were decent. I mean, we definitely won games, but I mean, it was a small, like our town, we divided up our high schools. Like we had 2 high schools in our team, in our town. And like, if we had just combined them, we would have been nasty. Like we were playing up against, like, we were in one division, like it was like the CCC East or something like that. We were going up against inner city teams like Hartford, Bloomfield, Windsor. These are just big, massive teams with like, hundreds and hundreds of kids. We got a squad of maybe 50, maybe.
Yeah.
And it was just, it was a good experience, but yeah, we got this shit kicked out of us.
We were one of those, like, our school was one of those schools that I think I had like 1,200 kids in my graduating class. I think JW, yours was even more.
No,
right?
well, I think mine was like 11 something.
Yeah, it was, but it was like,
still,
yeah,
it was
it was
huge.
like we had thousands of kids like going out. Like there's hundreds of kids that went out for every sport almost. Like football especially. There's a ton.
They took
of
football
kids.
so serious at that school.
So serious. Yeah.
So you weren't allowed to play any other sport. So I, like you, used to play 3 sports all through middle school, and then at North Penn the first couple of years I played football, but you could only play football if you played football. This sucks.
We had a couple guys on the wrestling team that were starting linebackers and stuff, and Pete was a starting lineman on the football team, and they like gave him an ultimatum, like pick one, and he was like, well, I'm gonna get a scholarship for this, so fuck off. You know what I mean? But I mean, it is what it is. Like we had a bunch of guys, there's guys going D1. Like if you're going D1, then concentrate on the sport you're going D1 in. I agree with that. But if you're not going D1, then play whatever sport you want, You don't have
I
to
would have loved to have played like in a smaller school and like had like even though your team, like you have less of a crowd, but you probably know everybody on that, like everyone who's tried out for the football team, everyone who plays, like it's fun.
Yeah, and you have a blast, like
middle school football was awesome.
Oh my God, the best. But nice. Okay, so I did want to ask about this. So down here in our little old town called Lansdale, PA, land of the free, home of the brave, we used to have a Thanksgiving Day tradition that has since gone haywire just because like the teams are always in the playoffs and stuff. But we're not the only place that has a Thanksgiving tradition. Apparently you guys did too. So what was that like? So give us a rundown.
Thanksgiving was the 2 high schools in the town would play each other. So Enfield High versus Fermi High School, and the whole town showed up. It was massive. Like it was a tradition. Like families would come, like all the alumni would come, and it was crazy. Like just everyone, the crowd was crazy. Everything, like everyone was hyped up for this game, and it didn't matter if we had a losing season or we could have been 0-11 or whatever. As long as you beat Fermi, that was it. Your season was you were good.
Yeah. Nice. It was crazy. That's a lot of schools like that. The Thanksgiving game is the Super Bowl for a lot of schools, which I think that's the best. You know what I mean? Like to have like a rivalry game like that, those are so much fun, like that. That's just, it gets,
you could have a losing season, but still have a game to look forward to.
That's genius that they did it that way too. Otherwise, like kids are just gonna be like, well, I guess this season's over. You know what I mean?
You're done.
Yeah. Okay. Did you guys win or did you lose?
We won a couple times. Like I think what was it? I think our JV team definitely won a lot. And then our varsity team, you know, like we would play, the JV team would play like a couple days before. And then whoever performed well on the JV team got bumped up to the varsity team to show up for that game. And then, you know, you get the holy shit kicked out of you. You know, it was one of those deals.
Nice, man. Nice.
Mhm.
All right. Cool. So, all right. So let's keep it moving. I want to talk a little bit about, well, actually, okay. Yeah. So I want to get into some work history, right? So
Okay.
we have some interesting stuff here, and I'm really excited to get into it. So the first job I want to talk about is that you worked at a tobacco farm from the ages of like 13 to 15.
Yep.
So it's a tobacco farm, talking a little tobacco. All right. So what was it like working there? Like I've never worked on a farm, period. Right. And I've only ever been to like one. Right. And it was like a petting zoo. You know what I mean? So what exactly? So what is it like working on the farm and going there? Like what was your typical deal there?
So it was pure hell. I mean, it was not fun at all. I mean, you tried to make the best of it, but like you'd be there at, you know, crack of dawn, you know, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. And, you know, as a teenager, you know, a young teenager, that's like, you know, that's like 4 or 5 o'clock now.
Yeah. This is in the summertime, right?
Yeah, and this is in the summertime. So this is just a summertime gig. And you know, you know, a little backtrack. I wasn't supposed to work there. My mother, who worked at a dermatologist office, you know, her one of the customers owned the tobacco farm, and she was like, "Oh, you know, my son's looking for a job," which I wasn't. But you know, so I was just sitting at home thinking, you know, I'm gonna have a nice summer, you know.
Yeah.
So she calls me up, like maybe she gave me like 15 minutes notice. She's like, "Oh yeah, this guy's gonna come and you're gonna come and pick you up and you're gonna go work for him on his tobacco farm." I was like, "Nah, you're bullshitting me, Mom. Come on, why would you do something like that?" And she was like, "No, I'm dead serious." And sure enough, she, you know, 15 minutes later, this older guy's just knocking on my door saying, "Hey, come work, you know, let's go." I was like, "All right." So that was brutal, but you know, I got to work in the barn. So what I would do is I would actually hang the tobacco. So I'd be climbing up into into one of the barns, and you know, on the beams, and you know, we would hang tobacco. You know, but on certain days, you know, we would go, and if people didn't show up to work, you know, you were out there on the fields cutting, picking up the tobacco, and you know, even, you know, just you know, putting it up on the boards to hang. So it was an all day, you know, you'd come home, you know, you'd look at your hands, you'd have pesticide all over your hands and stuff. And you're out there in the 100-degree heat and stuff, you know, it was brutal, back-breaking labor work, you know, it wasn't fun.
Dude, that sounds like the worst, the absolute worst. Like dude,
it taught me a lot. I mean, I definitely, you know, I didn't think I was cut out for it, but I definitely proved to myself that I was.
Yeah.
Because like you know, people would be quitting, you know, leaving, you know, you'd be working with one guy one day and then he just would never show up again. So you're like, "Oh, okay."
Well,
and then
that was Todd.
Yeah, you know, hey, I'm the idiot running, you know, I would run because, you know, I'm a teenager, so I was running, so I had a lot of energy. So I'd be running in the 100-degree heat, picking up the tobacco, and you know, stupid.
The old guy's like, "Hey, slow the hell down, buddy."
Yeah, you'd hear somebody talking in, you know, Spanish, and I didn't know Spanish at the time, but you know, they'd be talking in Spanish, and I can only imagine what they were saying. Like, "Look at this, you know,
gringo, stupido,
bendejo, idiot," you know.
Yeah.
But I knew I was on the good side of the owner when he would ask me, you know, "Hey, I know you've been working hard, but you know, I have a side job for you," and he'd throw you a couple $100 and like, "Hey, you know, can you come, you know, throw some hay onto the back of the truck?" And it's like, "All right, sure, why not?" You know?
Yeah.
So it had its ups and downs, you know.
I will say this, right? Manual labor, that's a workout in itself. Like you must have been yoked as a son of a bitch after working there, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, you're definitely, you know, you're moving. Like you don't have any time to slack off or anything like that, man. You were just sweating, you know. It was brutal.
Your mom probably just needed, like, at that time, you're working like crazy, you're working out, you're playing sports, and you're also growing. So your mom was like, hey kid, if you want to keep eating, you need a fucking job, you know, like
you need to get out of the house for about good 8 to 10 hours out of the day.
Yeah.
And, leave me alone.
Jesus, man, that's a brutal gig.
Oh yeah.
Was there like an old man that worked there that had been there for like 20 years that was like, he was just like back, like hunched over and like his hands were all gnarled. Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, we definitely had some older people that worked there. You know, they were lifers. It was like a family tobacco farm. Like their name, one of the streets in town is named after him. You know, it was just like he was that big.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah. So like everyone knew who he was. He was the nicest guy in the entire world. But
so they made some money there then. Huh?
Oh yeah. I mean, this guy. Like I talk about the brutal heat and everything like that, but this guy would literally show up and in the back of his truck, and he would have 10 to 12 gallons of, just juice and water and food and this and that. Like he took care of his workers. And
nice.
The guy walked around with like a couple grand in his pocket and no one bothered him. Like nobody would ever mess with him. Like he's just that guy.
That's awesome. I like to hear that. Where he's not like some stu-nod, like just sitting in the air condition, freaking being a bum. Like he's out there like appreciating the work of, he knows what it takes to work. So that's
where did the tobacco go? Like, did it go to cigars, or was it a Philip Morris field, or like what was it?
Yeah, so it was called it was dry leaf. I want to say dry leaf. I can't remember. Yeah, one of those. And I think it would go to cigars mostly. I mean, I'm pretty sure it went to I didn't get that far into it because I only worked for 2 years, but I would say cigars and cigarettes because this is mid 90s. So people were still smoking it up back then.
Yeah, still smoking it up now. I mean,
that whack tobacco.
We went on a field trip to a place that grew and dried tobacco in school in the North Penn district, and my one buddy stole one of the leaves and then tried to roll a blunt with it when we got home, and it was like too moist. It was like hanging up in that barn.
Oh yeah. Yeah, like we would hang up we would put, after hanging it up, after a certain amount of time, we would actually put in burners, like not Bunsen burners, but like burners into the barns, and we would use the propane.
Dry them off.
Propane, and we would dry it out. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, this was the full process, man.
Does it need to be dried in order to do it, or like?
Oh yeah, it goes from, because you were gonna pull it from the ground like green as any plant you find, and then you're hanging it up and to the point where it gets brown like a cardboard bag.
Really?
Paper bag.
Yeah.
What is so not only is it hot out, you got to heat up the damn barn that you're working in. That fucking sucks. But so wait, but I thought, because I've done like chew, and chew is tobacco leaves, but they're still like moist. Is that like, okay, so it's just like before it gets completely dry, they do that for like, you can do it that way to like chew it up?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I never got to that point of it. Like I literally just would put it in the hang it in the barn, and put the burners in there, and then after that I would go to school, and then afterwards I would know nothing. I'd come back the next summer and they're like, hey, get out there and start get up in that barn again. I was like, shit. All right.
You're like, all right, I guess I'm going.
But I guess I'll climb up 30 feet in the air and start hanging tobacco leaves.
Nice. So nice though, but that's good. So that taught you like hard work, and like it also taught you a very valuable lesson of what you didn't want to do for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
That's a very valuable lesson to learn early on. I learned one of those at a gig. I worked for a hauler. Oh God, I hope I don't ever have to do that again. But it was brutal, man. A junk hauler was awful. But okay, so let's keep it moving. Yep. So you went from the tobacco farm, right? And then you went and you worked at Sears, right?
Yeah.
So you went from working on the farm in the heat to the nice air conditioning of a nice Sears hardware store. Well, it wasn't Sears hardware store, it was just Sears everything store, right? And you worked there from the ages like 16 and 17. And how'd you get the gig in there? How'd you like it? And I've never worked retail, so let me know what you think.
So I got the job from a couple of buddies of mine from high school. They were working there, and they were like, we could, come work for us, or come work with us, and we'll have fun and whatnot. And I was like, all right, cool, whatever. So I worked there. Working retail is, I mean, it's interesting. You meet a lot of interesting people. But like we would, I first started in like the tool department. So that was awesome. Like I got to learn all about these tools, and stuff I never knew about, and just, I would help people out, pick the right tool and, cash them out and everything. But these guys were over in like the men's department, so they would be dealing with more clothes. So, so we were on opposite ends of the store, and, we try to communicate as best we could, but we couldn't because we were, we were young and stupid, and we wanted to, play around and whatnot.
Yeah. And there's some downtime you can mess around, but
we did a lot of stuff at that store that I won't mention what we did, but at one point there was a game of hide and seek going on, and it was so stupid. You're looking back at it. It was funny, but it was funny at the time. It was so stupid.
You got to do that shit though when you're a kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's all part of it.
Yeah, the store was dead. Manager, nobody was there, so it was just something to pass the time because you're there till 9:30 or something like that, and it's just like, oh my god, there's nobody here. It's a Wednesday night.
What was the manager like? Oh
yeah. It was in a little mall in town. I wouldn't call it a big mall. It was like a little strip mall or small. It's one of the small malls, but it was connected to that.
Nice. All right, so. Cool. So nice. So let's keep it moving then. All right. So you're at Sears, right? You're still there, but then you said you were in like the tool department, but you went from there and you went to the women's department, right? Like, why would they put a guy in the women's section? That just didn't make sense to me.
Yeah. I mean, at one point, like management came in and said, you know what, you all work for Sears. We're all just going to move you wherever we need you, kind of, just keeping everything even, where we need you, we're going to put you there. Okay, cool. And one of the bosses that came in was, he was pretty, he was pretty tough. He was a by the book guy, didn't want to have, no fun. You couldn't get along with the guy.
Yeah.
As a kid, and you're working with mostly kids, you are working with some adults, but you're working
Johnny hard ass trying to I hate that shit.
Yeah, so he would put me in the women's department, and you're dealing with I was like, all right, come on, I'll do it a couple times, but then you got the 60 to 70-year-old woman coming in there asking to hey, can you how's this bra look or something like that, and you're just like, oh god, come on. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Plus, too, like if you're a customer, I guarantee there's women that walked out of that store because they didn't want to ask you about like their undergarments. Like, come on,
100%,
like
100%.
Like, especially too, like even if it's not like an older lady, any lady,
you
know what I mean? Like this is bad business.
It wasn't smart, and I had asked him. I said, listen, I know I got to help you out, and I don't mind ringing. I'll stay in there and ring.
Yeah,
I'll cash him out. I'll do all the things. But I cannot do this. Like, there's just it just doesn't work.
It's not
like no, we're gonna put you where we need you, type of deal, and
stupid,
all that stuff. So I mean, I think he put me in there like 2 weeks in a row. It was just brutal, and I find I can honestly say that is the one and only job I ever quit without having something back, to fall back on. Like I didn't have another job lined up.
That you're just like, enough of this. The manager's a hard on. He's sticking me in a department that's like, I would say borderline inappropriate and like stupid. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Mm-hmm. It's not like they didn't have women at the store, right? There's women that work there, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. They would have them in like bedding or something. And I'm like, can we just switch or something, And
what's it? Yeah. I don't know why he has to, but he had it for you. I don't know. Maybe he was just like, look, Todd, I know eventually you're going to be a drag queen. So I wanted you to get familiar with what's going on. I'm kidding. Todd's not a drag queen, everybody.
I am not a drag queen.
He's a full transgender.
Drag queen. No. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. Wouldn't we all, Pat? Well, not Justin. You'd be quite a good looking drag queen, Justin.
I can see Justin being as a good looking drag queen.
Be a nice tall broad.
Yeah. Throw some heels on you. Get some little eyeliner going. Let's go.
I got good hips. I got a good figure.
Sure.
I can pull it well.
I bet you could. Watch out. Hey, here you go. So, all right. So let's keep moving. You left Sears after Johnny Stunad was trying to be a hard ass and put you in the women's department. You went from there and you worked at a grocery store, right?
Yep.
So when you're there from like you kind of finished high school there, right? So what kind of roles did you have like at the grocery store? Like what were you doing?
I mean, I did just about everything there, man. Like I started out as a bagger. So I would be, just bagging your groceries, paper, plastic, what do you want? Both. Okay, cool. Just putting the stuff in there, put the cans on the bottom, put the, bread on the top type of deal.
Smart.
Help the old lady out to the car with her car, with the cart and stuff like that. Like this was a good food store to work at. Like we actually had to wear khaki pants and a button down shirt. And did we have that? Yeah, I think we had to wear a tie at one point. And it was a real classy place to work for. Like
did you ever,
everyone had the same attire,
did you have to wrangle the silver buffalo?
Wrangle the silver buffalo.
Did you have to bring in the carts? That's what I used to wear.
Oh God, yeah. Oh yeah. Oh geez, yeah.
That's what,
I've never heard that expression before.
I used to work a giant, and that's what I used to call bringing in the carts was wrangling the silver buffalo.
That's
nobody ever liked that joke. I'm glad you guys like it.
Wrangling the
nobody
silver.
found it
I was
funny at
wondering.
all
I was like,
because
"What are you talking about?" And I was like, "Oh, now I get it." Wrangling the silver buffalo.
I was a concrete cowboy. I used to wrangle the silver buffalo.
Loved it. That is phenomenal.
Funny you bring that up, man. Phenomenal. Me and one guy actually had a competition going to see how many carts we could actually push at one time. Like
in the long thing, yeah.
Yup. And you were just like me and we were holding up traffic. I mean, we tried to push at least I think 40, around 40 to 45, carts at a time. And
do you have like the cord thing or whatever, the rope that you had to, you didn't have that either?
No, this was
so you're just pushing it
all the carts. Yeah, man.
Yeah, same. We didn't have that automatic thing they have at Walmart where it drives them themselves. No, we wrangled them on our own horse.
Yep.
Yeah, get out of here.
You're right. It was a 1-horse town, and you were the one wrangling the buffalo.
I was the concrete cowboy.
Yep.
Nice, dude. That's phenomenal. I mean, dude, I'll tell you what, that must have been like the leg power you need to get 40 carts going, especially too. Imagine if you had one cart that had the bum wheel and you're like, God damn it, cart number 12. Jesus, get your like
that or doing it in a snowstorm. That was brutal.
Baby.
Trying to get those carts to move in snow
because it's packed. It's packed, right? Like the place is bumping.
Yep.
And they sell booze in your grocery stores. Must be nice.
Yep.
And then, man, that must have been, it sounds like a nightmare. So nice. Okay. So let's keep it moving. So you're working at the grocery store. Everything was going good. Then now I want to get into some heavy detail about this, real heavy, right? Okay. So part of the mission of the Working Perspectives podcast, besides being the voice for a working society and letting people that contribute air their story, we want to bring scope to the world around us, right? And see like all these moving parts that make these things work. And this is one of the jobs that I think a lot of people have seen at work, but you've seen these people at work doing their thing, but not a lot of people know like what goes on and how you get into it. So you were what is known as a ramp agent for an airport. So you're the guy with the lights going, meh, 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 and directing the plane on the tarmac, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So
that was one of my jobs there. Yeah.
So so let's talk. So you don't have to say the airline you work for, but I want to know, how'd you get the job? What was a day like at the job? And then, what kind of roles did you do in like the training and stuff? But go ahead, start it out.
All right. So I got the job so this was out of high school. I didn't go to college. So I just went right to the working.
Winners don't go to college.
That's right, man.
Yeah.
So I needed something to do. And my girlfriend at the time, not now, but my girlfriend at the time, her uncle worked at the airlines.
Oh, nice.
And so it was kind of like a mutual thing. And he was like, yeah, just, say, you know me and, they'll hire you. I was like, okay, cool.
All right.
So I did that. An in. Huh?
You had an in at the airport.
I had an in. Yeah, I had an in.
And seems like you would need that for like one of those gigs. Like you would need
and this was, this was right after like 9/11. So this was like 2003, 2002, 2003 time frame, maybe 2004.
So airport security is heavy as
yeah, it was. They, I
like
told
the background check must have been crazy.
Right? Oh, background check was ridiculous. I'm like, I went to high school. I went to middle school. Like, I don't have a resume. Like, I don't really have a resume right now.
You're like, yeah, I'm 19, guy. I don't know
Yeah.
what you want me to tell you.
I don't have nothing. So
I watch Good Will Hunting 3 times a week. I'm from New England. What do you want?
Why
Yeah.
do you really want to work at the airport? I don't know. Somebody told me to show up here.
yeah, I got,
Yeah.
the guy said it was really good. Nice job. to
Homeland
work at,
Security
so I
has to
did it.
interview
Why
you.
not?
He says I get to play with the light sticks, right? You guys got light sticks here. Yeah.
I love it.
So all right, so nice. So keep going. So your at the time girlfriend's uncle got you the in there. So what is the training like? Well, so let's do what's the training like for this job, and then what's a day like at this job? So go ahead.
So the training, so they'll fly you out to Pittsburgh.
Whoa.
So we got to go out to, we got to go out to Pittsburgh. That was like their
Home of the
main, that was
brats.
like their main office was out there. So
Oh,
like,
good old Pittsburgh, you Yinzes
good old
out there.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
in the
Yinzes,
western.
huh? Whoa. Dude, it's a
The
completely
Steel
different
City
state
over
out
here.
there. All right, I don't want to hear it. Pittsburgh can piss me off sometimes, but whatever.
Oh, sorry, we won't talk about them.
No, I don't
Um,
care. You know, they're in the AFC. We only see them in the Super Bowl, but still,
Yeah,
they're
that's
like they're so freaking. You know, they're. I mean, take your bratwurst and your sauerkraut and your medium-sized city and go shove it, Pittsburgh. All right, that's from me, old kid salami, right at you. Okay, so go ahead, Todd. You went to Pittsburgh for the training.
So they fly you out to Pittsburgh. We got to be in training. I think it was only like a week's worth of training, but you got to learn all of the airport. Like every airport has a initials. So you got to learn certain initials. So like for my airport that I go to and I live, that's in my state, it's called Bradley Airport. So Bradley Airport is BDL. So we had to learn that. Nobody could get it because the problem with Bradley is they would also say Hartford Springfield because it's right in between the two cities. Like those are the two big cities that are right in between it. So everyone always got that wrong. So that was an easy one for me. But like, we had to learn, Florida, like Orlando. You would think like ORD. No, it's MCO. Why? Probably because of Mickey. I have no idea. Like I'm just thinking Orlando, Disney, Mickey Mouse.
Not wrong there.
I'm kind of going there, but so you had to learn all of those, like all of the initials, because they would fly all over the place. Like the weirdest one for me was Nashville, right? It's BNA. Those are the initials for it. I was like, what the, just
bad,
weird
bad
initials.
Nashville. That's
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah.
Bad Nashville Airport.
Nashville Airport. So, so stuff like that. So you had to train, and then they would teach you all about, how expensive the planes are. And if you damage the planes, this is hundreds of, millions of dollars, type of deal. Like you gotta be really careful.
How expensive are they?
They're really fucking expensive. It's really expensive. Like money, you, myself, you, me, Justin, we're never going to be able to
combine.
To get to that
we'll
money.
never see that.
Well,
Yeah.
we can try, but we ain't going to get there.
No.
Like,
Damn.
at least I'm not.
I don't plan on owning a jet anytime soon.
Yeah. So, you had to do that. So that was the training. That was like a week worth of training, and you had to take a test, and you pass the test. Obviously you get to work. So, I got the job, I got hired, officially hired. And so like a day would be, so you had 3 shifts. You had the morning shift, afternoon shift, and night shift. The morning shift would start at about 4:30 a.m., 4:35 o'clock a.m., and they would get all the morning planes out of the way. So the planes that were already sitting, they'd load up the planes in the belly of the luggage in the belly of the planes, and, they'd get them all out. So then the afternoon crew would come in at noon, anywhere like I think noon or so, work till 8, and then you had a night crew that would come in around 7 and work till whenever the last plane came in. So typically, you got a certain amount of planes every like couple of minutes that are coming in. Bradley's not that big of an airport, but it is, it's pretty busy.
It's
so you had to stay on time. You run late. Now you're setting passengers back. It was really, really stressful when you could have 4 or 5 planes on the tarmac at a time, and you're moving. You're bouncing from plane to plane to plane. Just
Are you
You're
taking
loading
like
up
golf carts in between?
What's that?
You ride like a golf cart in between planes? Like is that how
Only
you
if you were in the baggage. Only if you were in the baggage area. So baggage area, you would be. You put your luggage. You go to the airport. you put your luggage on the, you talk to the teller, the agent there, and they would, ticket your luggage and they would throw it on the belt there and it would go down. You would never, you wouldn't see it till you got off the plane. It goes down to a little area. And then there's like 2 or 3 guys back there just sorting through them, just putting them on tugs and, figuring out what plane goes where and everything like that. So,
wow.
Yeah. And then they would drive the tug out to the plane. And now you got like another 4 or 5 guys, 4 or 5 people, because there were ladies that worked there. And they were badass. Like these ladies were awesome. They were awesome. But like, so you would you could either go up into the plane and clean it. Once the plane landed, you brought it in, you could either go up into the plane and like kind of clean it, wipe it down, kind of not how we have it now, but like before, you kind of wipe it down real quick, clean up the trash, everything like that. Or you could be down in the belly of the plane and you could be packing all the luggage that the passengers would have. So you would have that, or you would just be one of the guys taking it off the tug and putting it on the belt. It goes up. And then you could either go to the next plane or you could help, back up the plane. This is where the wands come into play.
Okay.
You'd have your headphones on and you'd have the wands and now you're just walking with the plane, backing it up, the one guy's pushing it in the tug or a heavier tug. And you would be backing it up. And I think there's a couple of viral videos of guys dancing and stuff like that. It was really, really cool, man.
Seems like you like that job. So
I love that job, man, because I love planes. I love everything about them. So I'm kind of like a dork. I don't care. But
no, dude, I love it. Planes are fucking awesome, man. Don't get it twisted. There ain't nothing wrong with planes. Planes are badass.
They're huge.
Huge. So when you see a plane, could you imagine a grown man pulling a plane like they do in The World's Strongest Man? Like
no.
They're enormous, right?
It's huge. Like, I mean, the smaller ones, I could probably see like
but they're pulling like 747s.
Yeah, no, those 747s are massive. Like that's just ridiculous. Like,
dude, that's unreal, dude.
Yeah.
So nice. So okay, quick 2 things. One was your job unionized?
No,
was it?
We were not.
So there wasn't like a tarmac worker or a ramp agent union, and then 2, like, is there a cafeteria at this place where you had your lunch break? And if yes, does the ramp agents and the security get along, or is there rivalry?
So we had a little, I wouldn't say cafeteria. We still had to eat. Like some people would bring their own lunch, and then, you could go up to our airport. I think it had a McDonald's at the time, a McDonald's or something like that. But you would go and get your stuff. Security, but everyone who worked in the airport, I mean, I got along with everybody. So I would just say hi to everybody. I didn't give a crap what airline you worked for. If you were TSA, if you were, I would just,
talk so there's like airline kind of.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, the only time you really got aggressive with them was when when we were driving. Like sometimes we would have to take, the tugs. Like we'd get mail through the airport.
So the tug, when you say tugs, that's like the golf cart gimmicks?
A little stronger than a golf cart. Yeah.
Okay.
It's the thing that pulls the plane out to the tarmac.
It's one of those. Those are the big ones. Then there's smaller tugs that will just pull up.
Is that like the luggage?
The luggage. On?
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I see. And what about the stairs?
The stair truck?
Did you drive the stair truck?
Yeah, the stair truck would be either for the food, or you would go on the back of the plane and you would use that to clean the plane. Like you would use that one to clean it.
Okay.
Oh, dude.
Yep.
So like, besides like the cleaning and like the hefting of the luggage, which I mean, hefting luggage, you're getting a workout, it's whatever. But besides that, like you're driving cool shit, you're playing with the light sticks, you got the headphones, you got the Star Wars outfit on, right? Like it sounds pretty badass. Right?
It was cool. It was definitely cool, man. Like two things really that really got to me was the weather, because you're just out there in the open. So if it's raining or windy, you're getting your ass handed to you.
That's what I was going to ask. You're just out there.
You're out there, man.
You clock in, you're pretty much outside if you're not inside a plane.
Yeah. If you're not waiting for a plane, if you're not waiting for planes to land, you're out there.
Yeah.
So yeah, you got your butt handed to you.
I've heard it's cold up there.
Is there, yeah.
Yeah.
Is
It can
there
get
a
cold up
thing?
here.
Is there a thing now? Like, so I one time I was coming back from my honeymoon actually, right?
Yep.
So it was American Airlines, right? So we're taking American Airlines back, and this was one of those rides where like everything was working out. We got to the airport early, we checked in, security, no problems. We're waiting. My wife lied and told the stewardess that she was sick. We got moved up to the very front, first seats on the plane. We were allowed to board first, right? And then we're flying. Everything seemed fine. We get back to Philadelphia, right? And then all of a sudden, we're stuck on the tarmac for 3 hours because there was inclement weather. And I guess American Airlines, they have it where if you're a worker, a ramp agent for American Airlines, you don't have to go on the tarmac during inclement weather or lightning, right? Like it's not mandatory. It's only volunteer based at that point. And I guess no one volunteers to go out there when it's bad weather. So
it depends on how bad
there.
the weather is, man. If you got a bunch of lightning going around, you don't want to be anywhere near that tarmac.
Yeah,
like
it wasn't.
You want nothing to do with that.
They were being pansies.
You're a sitting duck out there, man.
Yeah.
It's
so like, good. So I guess I don't know. So I could see why like that could be. I mean, then so you're doing all that, right? Okay. So I want to go through like a day though. So you wake up, you drive to the airport, right?
Yep.
Do you have like special parking for people that work there, or how's that work?
No, we would just park in the regular parking lot. Normally they tell you to park at the, we had a parking garage, so you would have to park on the, they recommended that you park on the 5th floor, just because, that's just, it's like smart to do. Yeah. So I'd go through the, we go through baggage claim. There's a door and you have your badge and you swipe it and, you'd go right through. No question. They already did your background check. They didn't give a shit.
Did you have to go through security?
No.
Oh,
no. They already did the security check on you. So once you pass your background check, they're like, dude, you're straight. You can, you can pretty much go wherever.
So if you wanted to sneak drugs on a plane, this would be the job to do it.
If you could pass the drug the background check, absolutely.
Yeah,
you could.
Just kidding. I would never condone doing that, and Todd never did that either.
No, I did not.
Yeah. So okay. So you swipe in, right?
Yep.
You walk, and then do you like check like what gate you're at, or how's it go?
So I mean, you basically figure out where you're going to be. If you're going to be in baggage, or if you're going to be on the ramp. I mean.
So wait, baggage are like the
day.
people. So like wait, so the baggage would be like the people. Like when you check in, they put the baggage on the cart, the belt, and it takes it behind the door and it disappears into the world. So you could either be behind the wall where like the belt takes the luggage and separating it there, or you could be on the ramp doing all the bullshit on the ramp.
Yep.
Okay.
You could do that. So. And, at one point, I think I worked. So I did all 3 shifts. I mean, I think I did all 3 shifts on one day, multiple times, I'd go from 4 a.m. till, midnight. And it was just, it was crazy because it wasn't a high paying job. Like where I started, it wasn't high paying. Like it was just, it was just above minimum wage. So, I mean, I'm out of high school. All my friends are either they're in college or they're out of state, it didn't matter. So I was like, screw it. I'll just work, I'll just work it. But it took a toll. You were tired. Like,
I assume the guy out there waving the lights is like a paid professional with a license. He knows how to do everything.
No, you would think so, but no, that was me. I would do that.
It's just 19. He's just like, go this way.
19-year-old kid that's been on a 12-hour shift that learned this in Pittsburgh. It's just like, all right, this way. All right, let's Jerry.
But you also have in the background that you're dealing with a $1 billion plane. So you're like, all right, I can't fuck this up. Like you do this, you're pretty much going to get fired. So, but it was cool. We had all the hand signals and everything. And it was pretty cool.
Nice. That does sound cool. So when you're in the luggage part, like, so if you're coming to the airport and it's 102 degrees out, you're like, fuck, I want to be in luggage today.
Yep, absolutely.
Right? Yeah. You're like, I don't give a shit how many freaking luggages I got to haul. I'm not going there. So you're in luggage, right? And like, you're watching things just go through on the belt. So what do? You pick it up. There's like I see like they always put like the tag sticker on it, right? You look at the sticker and you're just like, all right, this goes here, this goes here, this goes here. And then you just keep, dude, your like back and arms must have been like killing you after that.
Oh yeah. It was brutal. Like, I mean, like some of these, because, you know, they got a 50-pound weight limit. So you kind of, it's actually funny because I can still tell how much a 50-pound, you know, luggage, you know, weighs, you know, just by my hand. I'll do it all the time. Even, you know, with my wife, I'll just like, no, that's too fucking heavy. Forget it. No, just, you know, take some shit out, put it in the carry-on or something like that. But,
oh, wow.
Yeah, it was definitely backbreaking work. Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
Oof. That's brutal.
No,
and you saw like a big piece of luggage, you're like, oh, fuck this.
Oh, yeah. Or, you know, the one that said fragile, you were like, fuck that. Yeah, no, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Okay.
No, but you know what a lot of people don't realize is we actually, and this was one of the other like bad parts of the job. I won't say bad part, but it was eye-opening to me. Is a lot of our flights came in from Charlotte, and Charlotte was a hub for military.
Oh, okay.
And what would happen is we actually had to take out coffins from the war. Yeah, we had to deal with that. So that was eye-opening.
That's
like,
brutal.
Nobody backed. Like they would tell you too. They would give you a heads up. Like there is a coffin on this plane. Like we need all hands on deck. You guys, you don't do anything else, and you basically give them you're basically setting up for a funeral. Like you carry the coffin. You bring it off the belly of the plane, and then you also will put the flag on the coffin.
Oh, wow.
So like, yeah, we had a couple of guys that were but were in Vietnam, and they said flat out, they were like, listen, you don't fuck around, you don't smile, this is 100% focus. Like the first couple ones were like, I would be like, okay, just tell me what to do. But then unfortunately you got used to it. And, I'd be in there in the belly, putting the flag on it, to put as much respect as I could on it.
Yeah.
But, it was weird. Like the hearse was there, the military was there. Like nobody got off the plane. Luggage, nope, nothing. It was straight. Everyone's focus was on that coffin and on that person that was in there. And we gave them as much respect as we possibly could.
Man, that's good to hear. Like it's a shame that those things happen, but I do like that. Like the vets, like the older guys at your job are no, we don't fuck. Like we might fuck around with the luggage and whatever, but we take this seriously.
Yeah, and guys were saluting and stuff like that. You knew who was in the military and who wasn't. Yeah, like guys were saluting them, and I wasn't in the military, so I didn't salute because I didn't want to disrespect anybody. Yeah, I just stood at attention and just did what I had to do.
Damn. We'll beat the shit out of your golf clubs, but we honor this veteran.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I'm gonna snap your 9-iron, and but this coffin is going as smooth as possible.
Yeah, I don't care what fragile is, but this is more fragile.
I don't know what fragile is, but I'm a man of honor.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. I'm glad to hear that. That's great. Yep. And that's how it should be. Would the families of the deceased be at the airport, or was it like you take it to the hearse and they're taking it to the family, or how would it be?
It was hit and miss. Some were. I think there was like one family member there.
Okay, I see.
Well, I think
it's had to identify the body kind of thing.
Yeah, or it's some, they were on the plane or something like that. It wasn't all the time, but I think one or two people came down to the tarmac and was like with them. It was crazy, man.
Yeesh. That's tough, man.
Yeah.
That's tough. Yikes. Yikes.
Yep.
Well, I mean, glad to hear that people it sucks that happened, but that's nice that like people are like, no, like this isn't a joke. Like take this seriously. Like someone made a sacrifice for you. So no, it's great to hear that. And it's great to hear that you're like the old guys at the place and everyone was like, no, this is a big thing. That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
Wait, what do you mean now? A word from our sponsor.
Are you someone who struggles picking a podcast to listen to because your time is extremely valuable?
Yeah, how'd you know?
Are you someone who says, damn, there's not enough hours in the day to pick just one?
Mm-hmm. Wait, what the fuck?
Or are you someone who's interested in a podcast where they interview a wide range of people and find out how the hell they ended up in their profession?
It's like you read my mind.
If I say yes to Can you help
Oh,
me out?
shit!
On an unrelated note, while we call the police, if you said yes to all those questions, then look no further and allow me to introduce you to the Working Perspectives podcast, hosted by executive producer Matt Lavelle and accompanied by co-host Party Boy Pete McCormick. As mentioned, they interview a wide range of people and find out how in the purple nurple fuck they ended up in their professions, which I think, in my opinion, as someone who previously job hopped from one place to another until I found something I'm good at, this is something worth investing your time in. You will learn about jobs that you never knew existed. Feel the grind that some of these people felt before getting to where they are today. And just like me, it'll maybe help you find that motivation you're looking for to pursue and what it is you want to do. And also, they have great segments in the middle of the show, such as The Weekend Poppin'. Give it a shot. And my two favorites, Memory Lane and What's Going Down in Gamertown, which is a segment I'm part of, so you should definitely look into it. So, that being said, after this video, go out and listen to the Working Perspectives podcast. You can find them on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Google Podcasts, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. All links are in the link tree, which is in the description. And now, back to the episode.
Once the movie's in theaters, it's going to go onto the streaming services.
So, okay. So nice. So, all right. So good deal. So you're working. So you're done at the airport. You're there for a little while, like you're doing your thing. So after the airport, then you would start, that's when you went to school for like the HVAC. Is that right?
So I got done with the working at the airport because I asked for a raise because I've been busting my ass. I asked for a raise. The guy was like, no, we can't do it. I was like, all right, well, I got this other offer, this other job that I've been looking for. And I was like, I'm going to take it because it's more money.
So you asked so you were at the airport. You said like, hey, buddy, I'm busting my fucking stunads here. Let me get a little bump ski. And you said, no bump ski for you. And you're like, all right, well, I got this other gig. I'm going to roll over there and you're going to fucking eat my stuff.
Yeah. And it was working for an HVAC company or HVAC. And I just worked in the office. I was a biller. I deal with I started there and it wasn't fun. People's, service plans, I would, do the invoices.
Is that back to when you guys were still using a lot of paper? Like it wasn't all computer?
Yeah. You had computers, but you were still sending them out via mail. And it was just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
People thought that a part was covered on a boiler that wasn't covered. So they were screaming at you because it's expensive, they're not cheap,
No.
Boilers, furnaces, oil tanks in general are not cheap. They are very expensive pieces of equipment.
Mm-hmm.
And
especially were you dealing with any in like New York City and stuff too? Like you were dealing with like big city places at all or no?
No, not yet. This was mostly like local. It was residential. I don't think we did a lot of commercial work, but it was mostly residential people.
It's still like, it's a lot. People don't realize how expensive like these machines, right? Like to get the parts, to get these things inspected, like these machines, literally like you have like a bomb in your home and in like, every apartment building and all that stuff. Like it's a pressurized bomb that if you don't get the right parts or don't get it inspected or anything like that, it's kablowy. So no, like this thing, a lot of money to be had in these, but it's not cheap. And people, I could understand people being like, what the is going, because also if you've had a boiler for 30 years, doubt that they're manufacturing the parts for that anymore.
They are not manufacturing the parts for that. No.
So how did you like going from, you're working on the tarmac and all that stuff in the heat to you're in the office, baby. And I'll tell you what, I'm a big old fan of working, like getting a little PTO, hanging out in the air conditioning. I'm not going to lie. Old Uncle Matty's a fan. Not going to lie. Hold on.
Not going to lie either. It was great.
Okay. So like we said, you went from office life, right? And you went from the tarmac to office life. So you're indoors, you have PTO, you have some nice air conditioning, everything's going good. So what was your, so you're like doing invoices and billing here. So you're like, what was your kind of responsibilities like? So you would call people, let them know their bills due, or you would run the work receipts, or what was going down?
Yeah. So I would do multiple things. So first I would, every time the guy went out to do a job, I'd get there, whatever piece of equipment they used or whatever, or they had to replace, I would start putting in an invoice and then I would mail out that invoice to the customer.
Nice.
Depending on what it was, either they paid it or they didn't pay it. And, it was like a month process, we'd go probably like 31 days out, if we saw in the system that they hadn't paid, now you start making the phone calls, and now you start, going through, and, then if you can get them on the phone, now you got to talk to them, either help them set up a payment plan, because like I said, it is expensive. Not many people can just, drop a, $1,000 on a part or something like that. So you got to come up with a payment plan.
Sure.
So yeah, stuff like that. It would just be, part of my daily routine.
Nice. Okay. So then you were there, and then you started to go to ICPA, which was like a tech school kind of thing, like an HVAC school, right?
Yeah. So I was doing that with the billing, and then I went into like dispatching as well. So they kind of like put double duty on me. So like I would be dispatching at night, but I would also be invoicing when I wasn't dispatching. So I would help, tell the guys where to go, and write down what they were doing. Usually if I had if I had enough time, I would be able to invoice right then. So it would be, almost instantaneous that we would be able to get the money out. So all the company loved me.
Nice.
At least I loved it. But I knew it wasn't for me, because I just, office work and, being young, there's a lot of politics that you don't know, or that you don't want to get into, or you get sucked into it. There's too much, you fall into, Debbie Downer, and then you just come into work and you're just down all the time.
Yeah. You've come from working in a field to an airport, and now you're stuck in an office. I come from guys, swearing up a storm, and now I gotta be, correct. And, if I drop a swear or something like that, I get, yelled at or something like that, and be like, you can't do that. It's like, okay.
You could lose your job for saying, damn it. Yeah. I'm with you. You need, like, when you come, like, because I remember I was like bartending and serving my whole life, and like, doing like other like blue collar kind of jobs. And when I started in an office, like I remember, I think I called someone babe one time, and they were like, that is a no-go. All right. That is a no-go. You do not speak to people. I was like, whoa, babe, cool it. Right. But that was a big oh no, and I was like, oh, come on. Right.
Yep.
But hey, it is what it is. That's office life. You got to follow the rules. It's all part of it. Because I'll tell you what, people know how to work the system in the office.
Oh, yeah.
I'll tell you that right now, brother. I tell you that. But nice. So, okay. So you're working in the office, and you kind of like sick of like, because when you're young in an office, it's different. You know what I mean? Like you have too much energy. So like you get sucked into this stuff just because you're bored, and you're like, oh, here, I can spend my energy doing this stuff. Whereas like when you're older, the older guys like, don't give a fuck. Don't have the energy, right? Like now I'm like, I don't like negativity. Like I'm getting paid to do a job here. Like, let's be positive about that,
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, don't try to be Johnny complains a lot. Like I'll tell you this, no one if you complain the most and complain the most, do the least, doesn't get you a promotion, right? Like fucking just do the work and keep your mouth shut. And I'll tell you what, the higher ups like that.
Yes, they do.
Yeah. So they certainly do. So you're doing HVAC, and you start to go to school, right? Yep. And when you're at the ICPA, so when you're doing the school, you start apprenticing with an HVAC guy, right?
Yeah. So I would go to school in the morning at like 7 a.m, and I would go, regular school time, 7 to 3. So I would do that, and then I would still go to my job and do the dispatching and everything like that. So I would do that. And once I passed all the classes, so while you're at school, they're teaching you how, what boilers are what, furnaces, air conditioning units. They're teaching you the ins and outs of it, how to tune this, how to troubleshoot, and, what tools you're going to be using for certain jobs and whatnot. So it was a really cool school to go to. I got to work with my hands again, so it was nice. And once you complete all the courses, you have to take a test afterwards, so, and then it gets signed off, and the company would be like, oh, okay, cool. And once I completed all the courses, then I would have, I went into the field, and I started working in the installation. Yeah, the installation department is where I started.
Nice.
So I'd be installing boilers, furnaces, oil tanks. I did a lot of the driving because I didn't have all the guys had a company vehicle, had a company van. with all their tools in it. They didn't want to leave their van at the office. I was like, well, my van's got nothing in it, so I'll fucking drive. I don't.
Yeah.
So I would drive I drove a box truck with a standard box truck. So I had to learn how to drive standard again. So that was
like manual.
Yeah, standard manual, whatever. Yep.
Is that stick?
Stick.
Yeah. You New Englanders call it standard.
Standard.
New Englanders.
New England standard stick. Whatever.
Standard.
You chowder heads. You patch spans. How do you like them apples? You have it yards. What else?
I think I said it once. I'll say it again. Forget the Patriots.
Oh man,
I'm not a Patriots.
You're a wicked pisser.
There's still the Celtics and the Red Sox.
No, screw the Celtics. I'm not a Celtics fan.
What's your basketball team?
I kind of watch a little bit of the Bruins. What'd you say?
What's your basketball team? Who's your?
I am actually I haven't watched basketball in forever, but at one point I was a Phoenix Suns fan.
Hey, all right,
yeah.
Barkley.
I'm out west.
Thunder Dan, KJ.
Yeah, man.
Fan.
That was a great squad in the 90s.
Great squad, dude. Thunder Dan, come on. Thunder
Dan Barley.
Thunder Dan. I used to work.
Going, man.
I used to work at this restaurant called the Pub of Penn Valley in Narberth, which is like right outside of Philly. And Chuck used to come in there. Charles Barkley used to come in there all the time, right? Super dude. I'll tell you this. Super awesome guy. Great tipper, right? Like there's a lot of famous people that are shitty tippers. He is a really good tipper, right? And like his super cool dude. His daughter. He would bring his daughter in. Woo, little tall, but woo, right? But either way, he was there one time and like we would talk to him, right? And I'm like, dude, do you still talk to Thunder Dan? Like, how's he doing? How's KJ? And he was like, oh, Thunder Dan doing great, man. He's the mayor of Sacramento. And I'm like, really? But he was awesome. I'll tell you this one time. So I was there, like his wife, her name was Mo. Everyone called her, I called her Miss Mo, but I think her name's Maureen, but everyone called her Mo, right? Yeah. And she is awesome, like super nice lady, very pretty lady, like super, super cool, right? And like we were making a joke one time and, talking about like our significant others or whatever. And someone said something like, they're like, well, Chuck, you hit the lottery with Mo over there. And he's like, she hit the lottery with me. She's a fucking scratch off. And I was like, oh shit. he's like, I'm a lottery ticket. I'm a winning lottery ticket. She's a fucking scratch off. And I was like, damn, Chuck. I was like, she's all right, She was no, but he was just joking. She's fucked. They were both really cool, really, really cool. I tell you what, he was one of those guys too, where like Chuck is very famous, especially in Philadelphia. He's uber famous, right?
Sure.
Wouldn't you agree, J-Dub? Like Chuck's
I would love to meet Charles Barkley.
Chuck's the man, dude.
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, he's hosted SNL. Like he's a personality, right? Like Chuck's
yeah. I love Charles Barkley.
Yeah, he's a big personality, right? Like everyone loves him, right? But when he's when he was eating there, the only rule was like no one can bother him when he's eating. Like when he's eating, let him do his thing, let him eat. He loved, like we had like these famous wings there. He would get an order for his appetizer and an order for his entree. He loved the wings, right? Yeah. And then he's drinking Grey Goose on the rocks doubles just all night, right? And he's like a big guy, and like he bets on everything, right? So he loves talking gambling. So, but he's there and he's like doing his thing. And then like kids are coming up. He took pictures with every kid, with every family. Like he's just sitting at the bar. They would come up. He's talking to all of them. Like all the patrons would come in and say hi to him. He knew like a bunch of people by first name basis because he's there all the time. Right. Like legit, he's not like one of those people who's like a celebrity asshole. He was the coolest dude. Coolest dude.
There's Maria's in Roxborough that I used to go eat there just because he eats there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like apparently anytime he's in town, he goes eats in Maria's too, right on Ridge Ave.
Wait, Maria's across from TNF?
Yeah, he goes and eats there every time he's in town.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he loves that place.
Damn,
and I've never seen him in there. Yeah, he loves that place.
Dude, I never seen. Former guest of the show, friend of the show, Vinny Ravioli, aka Vinny Traveline. Right. Homemade Homemade Picks is coming up soon. So be ready for the Homemade Picks videos coming out. But Vinny Travaline, aka Vinny Ravioli, works at TNF Farmers Market, which is right across the street from Maria's. And Jim and Vinny actually got his name because his brother's Joey Provolone. So you had Joey Provolone and Vinny Ravioli, and he got that name from a cook at Maria's. Fucking life, right?
There you go.
How about it, man? How about it? So let's keep it moving. After you left the HVAC, Todd, you would end up getting a job for, we'll just say it's a major cable company based in the Philadelphia area. That's all we're saying. You can decide what company you think it is, but it's a major cable company in the Philadelphia area.
It is a major cable company.
So
I think you could call it more of a communication company.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They got the whole package.
Oh,
the
yeah.
whole package. They cast a wide web, if you know what I mean. They really are very good at communicating.
They are awesome.
Yeah.
We'll say that.
Yeah, they totally are. So let's keep. So you work there, right? So you were a communication field technician. You worked there for 12 and a half years, right? So you spent a lot of like your professional life here, right?
Yes,
like,
I did.
You had quite a career there, right? So you worked there for 12 and a half years. Let's talk. How did you get started? What was the training like? And then let's go through a day in the life at a major cable company.
So I actually got started because I had going back to the HVAC company, they were unionized. And every summer they would lay off, a bunch of guys because, in the summertime you don't need to work. And I didn't have a license. I didn't have air conditioning license or anything like that. So I couldn't do anything. So being at the bottom of the totem pole, I would get laid off. At this time I started dating, my now wife. And so she was like, no, you're not sitting around. You're not doing this. You're going to go, you're going to go find, and I had been working at the bar too, at a bar in Enfield, that's where, her and I met and everything like that. So I was pulling, I was doing HVAC and I was working at the bar.
You were bouncing, right? And you were bouncing
I was doing
bar back in.
Yeah, I was bouncing and bar back in.
Look at you stud. She walked in. She's like, "Oh my God, is that the linebacker quarterback from high school, the Dreamboat?
Absolutely,
Todd, the Dreamboat."
She fell for it. She fell.
They all do, pal. They all do. So okay, she's really happy she made that decision.
Absolutely.
11 years later.
Working at the bar, I got to know this guy, and his name we called him Ronnie from the Bronx. And now
Ronnie from the Bronx,
okay, and this guy put it to a T.
Yeah.
Okay, this guy had the bald head, just shined it like Mr. Clean. All right,
polished it up.
Oh, polished it up. He had the gold chains, the pinky rings, everything. He would come in. He
had 5 fingers, but he only used 3.
Exactly, and he would just talk like that, and it was fantastic, and I loved it. He was awesome. He was a funny dude. Yeah, we would just talk shit. He was a Yankee fan, and I'm a Red Sox fan, and my wife is a Yankee fan. So we would just all start talking.
Good.
Yeah, in New England, that's a big thing, guy.
Yeah. It's a wicked big thing, guy.
It's a wicked big thing here.
So hey, that's fine. Hey, you're good.
So I was like, I need something steady. I need something more steady. I need to be working. I can't be having this time off. Whatever the case is. He's like, you know what? Come work for us. Put my name down on the resume, or on the application, and you're gonna get it. I was like, all right, cool. So I do that. So we do the training right here in Connecticut. And what they do is it's like a 6-week program, and they actually will show you. They help you out. It's a lot of book work because a lot of it's in the field training, but you go through this big thick book. I mean, it's got to be like 300-400 pages worth of stuff. I mean, it's ridiculous. Just rules, what you got to do. But they also teach you how to climb a telephone pole. And now we have a telephone. We have a pole farm basically out in Berlin where I got trained. And they teach you how to climb a telephone pole, and it is fucking intense. Time out.
Got some questions. So this major cable company,
Yep.
the training for what you would be doing, they're like, look, you got to read this, a lot of insurance bullshit in here that we have to tell you, all this stuff. Part 2 is they go to an area where they've took like all these retired telephone poles. They took them and they're like, look, we're putting you guys back out in the field, but we're not wiring you up. We're just using you for climbing, right? Shoved them in the ground. And they said, hey, Todd, strap on your boots and fucking shimmy up the pole there, right? And that was the training?
So, it wasn't, we didn't actually climb up the telephone pole. We would climb up on a ladder. We'd have hooks. We'd strap onto the line. And,
So
we'd
they're
belt
kind of going
onto
over
the
like
line.
the safety regs of like,
Yeah.
Okay, I see.
Yep. And so you had a safety belt on, you had your hard hat on, you had your safety vest on. You had your safety glasses,
Gloves and all
sunglasses,
that
whatever you
gimmick.
had on there.
Yeah.
And, then they would literally, there'd be 1, 2, 3, it'd be like 6 guys on a strand. And we would just, we'd climb up, we'd do it. And then we'd pretend, or we'd, simulate a running, what we call the drop from the line from the telephone pole to your house that's feeding cable to your house. So we would kind of simulate that. And, some guys could do it. Some guys could, it's the first time most of these guys, a lot of us, are climbing, 25, 30 feet in the air.
You don't think it's high until you're freaking up there, babe.
You're up
And
there.
It's high.
You're up there.
Oh yeah.
And we one of the teachers was like, no, just lean back. Like, you're belted in. So like, it's not like you're free, you're free falling or anything like that. Like you're strapped in and,
but some guys are like hugging the pole, like,
oh, there were guys.
Did you ever,
there were, so many guys that thought they could do this job. And
did you ever try and climb a telephone pole as a kid or anything?
I did.
I never did. No, at that point, no, I never.
I remember there was like,
I climbed trees. That was what I did.
Someone had like, like a Winnebago, right? They had like one of those things by a telephone pole, but the Winnebago had a ladder on the back of it. So I climbed onto, because like the metal hook gimmicks don't start until like 10 feet up on the.
It's about 8
pole.
feet. Yeah.
So I climbed up on the back of the Winnebago, walked on top of it, went over to the pole and started climbing up that. And I got like a few up and I'm like, like I'm coming down. It's doing it. Yeah.
I used my I used my bike one time to get onto the telephone pole, climbed up, got as high as I could till I got scared, climbed back down, and then I slid down the trunk of the telephone pole to get down. Unbeknownst to me was that telephone poles are covered in splinters. So from palm to fingertip on both hands, I was covered in splinters, forearms, a little bit in my body. And I had to sit in my bathroom, and my neighbor had one hand, my mom had the other, and they sat there for 2 hours pulling splinters out of both my hands.
And the neighbor was like, hey, you might want to get this kid special help because he's a freaking moron.
They're like, hey, are you going to climb telephone poles anymore? I was like, nah, I think that's the last time I ever try and climb a telephone pole.
Until tomorrow.
Until they make those things not covered in splinters, apparently.
Jesus.
Who knew you couldn't slide down a telephone pole like a fireman's pole?
Yeah. I mean, it is deceiving. I know that the dumbest thing I think I ever did with a telephone pole is I have a hatchet, like a throwing hatchet.
Yeah.
And we didn't have any trees, and we tried the telephone pole. Not a good idea.
That's not a good idea,
sir. I think they're like iron on the inside or something, because that thing was like ding. It was no way.
And the fact, also like 30% of the telephone pole is in the ground. So when you see 100-foot telephone pole sticking out of the ground, it's really like 150 feet long.
Wow.
Yep.
There's a lot of telephone pole a lot more telephone pole in the ground than you think.
Well, I guess with like they would snap all the time if it wasn't right. Yeah.
Well.
And like you'd have to get special insurance for that, because usually most homeowner insurance doesn't come with wind coverage. Just an FYI. So you're training, you're shimmying up these poles, you're doing your thing. They go through the employee handbook, you do all that, right? Mm-hmm. You graduate, you're a certified, what do we call it? A certified communication field technician, right? Yep. You're doing your thing. Now you're going to work. What is a day in the life of a communication field technician like for a major cable company?
So it is. So you wake up. So we had when I first started, we had this thing. We had a device called a symbol device. It was basically an old school BlackBerry device, and it was connected to whatever network we had, AT&T, Verizon, Sprint, whatever it was, and we would have our jobs there. And we would be able to
your
see,
itinerary was on the gimmick.
Yeah.
I see.
Yep.
Okay.
Our itinerary is right there, so we would know what jobs we had, and we would go through. And we had time frames. When I first started, it was the classic cable company. Oh, we'd be there between 8 and 12 and 12 and 4.
Yeah.
Those were the time frames.
Yeah.
A lot changed after that, but we'd have a bunch of jobs on our schedule, and we would just go to the job. We would go to the job. We drive our company vehicle, and we would have equipment, in the van, and we had tools, and we had our little meter device that would tell us if we needed to, what the signal was going into it, if there was any noise or interference on it. So like if we were talking on the internet and everything was just scrambled up or it was cutting that in and out, you could technically have some interference on the cable line that you don't know nothing about, because it's not really, it's kind of annoying, but it's not that big of a deal. But we would go and we would figure all that stuff out. Depending on the house, or we would be doing an installation. Like we would, customer just moved into a house and they're looking, they don't want to sit in silence anymore. So they're getting cable, the internet, phone, what the whole 9 yards. So.
And you're doing this in the Philly area or up in Connecticut?
No, I'm doing it up in Connecticut.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
so all those like original setups, and then the customers like setting up their lines. So you'll climb with the telephone pole, run it to their house, and then set them up with cable.
Yeah. If that was the, that's what we had to do. So, you could be at a job for, it could be a quick job. It could be, maybe half hour, or you could be at a house all day. It depends on what we called never house, where they never had cable out in this area. There were still customers that were, they did that digital transition after, when was it? That was quite a few years ago, but they had a digital transition where you couldn't use your cable line anymore. You had to get a box, and just lines weren't designed for it. They had old wire called 59 line, and that was like just this thin, skinny wire. Like you could you could run it all day, and it was flexible. You could bend it around door frames and stuff. It was at the time it was great. But it did not work with digital cable. So, you could be at a whole house rewiring it for, 8 hours.
Oh
yeah,
man. Well, and
imagine doing this either in the summertime where it's like 100 degrees out, or in the wintertime where it's minus 20 with the wind chill, or, it's just monsoon raining, it was.
Would you have to climb the pole at every house?
Yeah, that was because you had to. So what most people don't realize is you actually had to do math. So you actually had to do math. So there's a signal, there's a value at what we call the tap, and that would give out a certain percentage of signal. And depending on how long the run is, you would lose a certain amount of signal. So if it was 100 feet, depending on the type of wire, there's all different types of wire. There's there's RG6 and RG11, and the RG11 is a lot thicker wire, but those are used for like over 300 feet runs, 100-foot runs. And so there's a certain amount of signal that you will lose depending on how far the run is, or the drop is. And so now you had to make sure that everything was in a certain spec. So like if you had that tiling problem, you could have too low of signal. So our threshold was like between +8 signal and -8 signal. So anything in between there, you usually would have a good signal, or you would have a good picture quality or internet connection or phone connection. Yeah. Anything above that, you could actually have issues, or anything below that, you could have issues. So if you were like +10, you could have issues, or -10, -12, you were like, shit. You are always hurting.
Yeah. So, okay. So we're getting close to the end here, but I do want to ask, like, can you give us, what was one of the worst struggle, like, because you would also have to shut people's cable off. Is that right?
Oh yeah. Like in the beginning, it was still all analog signal. So when I first started there, we actually had to do what was called a hard disconnect. And that was physically, climbing up the telephone pole and finding, so each customer has a tag number. and if it's correct, okay, cool. Sometimes tag numbers get misplaced, it happens. But if the tag number matched and they didn't have, they weren't paying, you would actually put a disconnect trap on there, and it was a certain, tool that you had that nobody else would get. I mean, you could steal it, but you didn't, they could, but you had a certain tool, and yeah, you would disconnect them, and it could get, depending on where you were, you could get into a lot of issues, or it could be a quiet day, depending on where you were doing your disconnects.
Yeah. Okay. Did you ever have an issue with the disconnect?
Yeah. I mean, depending on, I don't want to talk bad about Hartford, but Hartford's the capital, of Connecticut. And like there's
also some little trivia there. Home of WrestleMania 11, Hartford, yes. Connecticut. Yeah, the main event was LT versus Bam Bam Bigelow. And when I say LT, I do mean Lawrence Taylor from the New York Football Giants.
A linebacker from Newark, New Jersey.
He won too, didn't he?
He did. Bam Bam put him over. It was also, that was one of the dark year. I don't want to go on a WWE tangent, but WWE was like struggling. It was right before the boom of the Attitude Era was hit.
Yep.
It was Diesel versus Shawn Michaels was the other main event headliner, and like Jenny McCarthy and Pam Anderson walked. I think it was Pam Anderson walked Diesel out and Jenny McCarthy walked Shawn Michaels out, right?
Yep.
The next year would be WrestleMania 12, which would be the Iron Man match with Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, the Boyhood Dream.
That was a great match. Sorry.
They were on the cusp. Then WrestleMania 13 would be the following year in Chicago, and that's where you would have Austin change the game with the bloody face with him versus Bret Hart in the submission
Ken
match.
Shamrock as the guest referee.
Yep, you're absolutely right. And then WrestleMania 14 is I think 13 is kind of where the Attitude Era really that's when it started to go up for the WWE because of Austin and the whole thing. And he was the face of the company after that. Then he was like the hottest thing in wrestling. And then end up would be 14 is when he would win the title against Michaels. So, but either way, let's go back to this. So, So Hartford, I've heard this before. There's a company that Todd and I that both know that's based in Hartford. And I've had people that work for the company tell me when they go to visit the office in Hartford, they would say there are some areas that are quite sketchy. And I have some family that live in Hartford, some extended family that would say the same thing, that there's parts of Hartford that are pretty cruddy.
Yeah.
So let's say you're doing some cable dishing or snipping in one of the shitty parts of Hartford. So what could happen?
I mean, it depends, you try to be real quiet in that area. You don't, you're there first thing in the morning, at 6, 7 o'clock, you're trying to be as quiet as you can be, you got the backup alarm on the van, but, in any case, you could have, people threaten you with just words, you could have people throw stuff at you. You could be threatened with a knife. It happens.
Sure.
You could do that. I had one instance, this was later on, but I had one instance where it wasn't a disconnect, but I was running a cable line from the house or from the telephone pole to the house. And a guy was kicking my ladder, trying to knock me off the telephone pole. Yeah.
I think they call it a ladder match.
It was, and this was
it Razor Ramon? Was it WrestleMania 10?
I was thinking about it. I was really thinking about just dropping on him, but it was
the old Jeff Hardy Swanton.
I was thinking about it, but I was throwing everything I had in my little bag in my safety bag. I was throwing stuff at him. He was not happy with me.
Throwing cable cutters down at him.
Oh yeah, I was throwing everything. I had cable fittings. I had everything. I was just throwing them down at him.
Yeah, I would not be happy about that.
No, I was not happy. I had to actually call the police on the phone. This is how, and this wasn't even in Hartford. This was in East Hartford, so it's right next to it.
Yeah,
the town
place is terrible.
And I was actually a street away from the police department. I was actually looking at the police.
You could see him. He's waving
as I'm on the phone with the police department, and
they're like, "No one's here." You're like, "Hey, I see you fucking eating a donut. Come over here."
Get over here, guy. And this was right during COVID, like everything had shut down, everyone was home and this and that. And, we never stopped. Like we were
Cable
still
company
continuing.
doesn't stop.
No, man. We actually got busier because I say we, but they never
people
stopped
wanted the cable back.
Yeah.
Dude,
well, no,
they want it more than ever in the pandemic, right?
Well, it was amazing to me how many people just didn't have regular internet in their homes because they had their cell phones.
Yeah.
So now kids are home from school, they're getting homeschooled.
Yep.
Oh shit.
So, we're going, we're trying to help, we're trying to stay safe, and we're trying to, do what we can and, still provide service to these customers. And it was, it was kind of scary.
Is that the day when you were like, hey, maybe I should start looking somewhere else?
It was, right around there. I was like, okay, this probably, probably if I'm not going to be a supervisor anytime soon or a line tech, I'm gonna start finding something different here.
Nice. Okay, so let's do that then, and we'll finish up here. So right now you're a IoT technical specialist, right?
Mm-hmm.
So can you give us a kind of surmise like what that job entails?
So my job entails, so I work for a reinsurance company. So they insure other insurance companies.
Yep.
And we have come up with a program for water, temp, and pipe sensors to help prevent large claims, insurance claims. So we're trying to prevent water damage, pipes freezing, anything like that, temperatures, high humidity, and freezers and stuff like that. And what I will do is part of my job is training up our guys to go out and do the installations. So I have to train them on the apps that we have. I have to train them on the equipment that they have, and to basically help them troubleshoot as well. Sometimes a lot of these guys haven't done an installation like this before, so they have a ton of questions. I'll set up installation meetings with them. I'll go over everything with them, via Teams or something like that. And I basically just get them in. I get them the tools that they need. I'll also help train some of our clients. So in some cases they don't want a professional installation, so they would want me to come out and train one of their guys to do the installations for them.
Nice.
So we do that, and that's kind of where I got to meet a good old Uncle Matty here.
Yeah. So what Todd is explaining is there's something new in the insurance game. It's called preventative insurance, right?
Yep.
With the advent of technology and IoT, which stands for Internet of Things, everything's censored. Like your car has a sensor on it, lights have a sensor, everything is censored. So hypothetically, you can monitor everything. So really what this is, it does two things, right? One, it's peace of mind, right? So if you're a homeowner, so they do some domestically, we're involved in it mostly in a commercial capacity, right? Where it's like, it's not in home. It's available in homes, but it's not like we do more of like schools and churches and hospitals and
commercial properties.
Yeah. Commercial properties.
Oh, yeah.
So what happened is they have, if you're at a church, for instance, right? Not a lot of people are at a church during the week, right? What if a pipe bursts in the basement on a Tuesday and no one's there till a Friday? There's a major claim that can be made from that the insurance companies are held responsible for, right? But what they've done now is they've installed a sensor in that area. So say the pipe bursts and a sensor gets it, right? You'll get an alert saying like, hey, there's water here, please check on it. They can go there, shut the water off, kind of clean it up a little bit before any major damage occurs.
Before days worth of damage. Yeah.
Correct.
Yep.
So the claim is literally cut in like, a quarter and maybe not even made at that point, right? Like there might not even be a claim made. So companies have noticed that like this has been so successful, the advent of like the preventive insurance with the installation of sensors and things like that, that a lot of companies now are making it mandatory for their clients to have these in their buildings because it's worth the money for them to pay, have it installed and monitored, right? They save that much money on claims to have these put in the buildings. That's what I mean. Also, it does this. Say if you have a sensor installed in your building and it stops connecting, and then the people that are in charge of the sensors, they call you and are like, hey, this isn't working. Can we work with you to get it back up and running or send out a replacement, right? say they do 3 attempts to call you and you don't answer, right? If something goes off and water breaks there, and you're like, well, the sensor didn't work, and we, like, what the heck? And we're like, well, if we knew it wasn't working, we called you and told you it wasn't, and you didn't get back to us, and you submit a claim, they can wash their hands of it, saying like, no, we would have been able to prevent this if you would have held up your end, and you didn't, right? So it just gives the insurance company, they're giving you peace of mind, but don't think they're not getting theirs also. Right. But that being said, it's still a fantastic idea. And it's going to be, honestly, it's going to be in every home in America. And if you have property insurance or anything like that, just know homeowners insurance, it's going to be part of the gig. Any insurance company worth their salt is going to have these things, just because it's worth them to pay for it, for them to save. I know I won't say the company, but I know there was a company that had their record loss of payout in the history of the company, had paid the most out in claims, right? The next year they started this, right? 3 years later, after they went to contract to have a full installation, it was the lowest payout in the history of the company. And it was lower, like a 40% lower, right?
Nice.
Like a big number. So these things work, man. They work. So
did they put a war on water?
They put a war on water so the police could bother me, So, but yeah, no, but these things, I'm telling you, if you don't it's peace of mind, man. It really is. Like, if you're a homeowner and you're going away on vacation and God, you're worried, are the pipes going to freeze? Or say, a lot of people use these for
snowbirds,
if you have a second home, like a shore house or something like that, it's really good for those.
Mm-hmm.
It's all over the place with this stuff. Fascinating stuff, but that's what Todd's doing now. So, and he's killing the game. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you, I've seen it firsthand. He fucking does a great job, and he's a pleasure to work with. I'll tell you that. So those major cable companies don't know what they lost.
Damn right.
But either way, we're coming to the top of time. So usually me and Justin are on board with this, Todd, but I'll tell you what, this was great, and we would love to have you back on if you'd be willing to come back on.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Awesome, cool. Man. Dude, yeah, this was a blast. I really enjoyed going through your story. You had a great story of you just coming up the ropes, doing your thing, and living life along the way, man. It was really, really interesting stuff. And also, one of the things we love to provide on the show is your provided scope to the world around us with the lights, with the tobacco farm, with the cable company.
It's a lot of interesting gigs.
Yeah. Really, really cool stuff, man. Really happy you came on. So we're coming to the top of time. Before we get out of here, Todd, do you have anything you want to say to the listeners?
I just want to say, just be kind to everybody, man. These times are crazy. Just be kind to everybody, man.
Yeah. Don't go knocking people off of ladders.
No.
Right? It's the last thing you want to do.
Don't do that.
Yeah. That's not being kind at all. Yeah. So, J-Dub, anything you want to say to the listeners before we get out of here?
I'm going to disagree with Todd and say, don't be kind to each other. No. Kick people off ladders. Don't let them disconnect your cable, and you don't have to pay your bills.
Yeah. That's not the opinion of the Working Perspectives podcast entirely, but no. Yes.
No kidding.
Yeah. So, yeah, what do you want to say to the people?
Just, behave yourselves. Have a good day.
Nice. All right, perfect. So this has been another episode of the Working Perspectives podcast. I'm Matt Lavelle, accompanied by special guest host Justin Richardson, and our guest today was the terrific Todd Widun. You can find all our content and all our stuff on all podcast platforms and YouTube at Working Perspectives Podcast. You can have us on Instagram at Working Perspectives Podcast and join us on the Twitter and the TikTok at Working P Pod. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, then do us a favor and email us at workingperspectives@gmail.com. All right, this is the end of the show. Stick around for the ad read. Thanks. See ya. Do you have a message or a story inside of you that you've been waiting to tell? Have you always dreamed of writing a book, but are intimidated by the complexities of the book publishing world? Perhaps you want to use a book to launch your public speaking or consulting career. If so, please reach out to Scott and Bell Publishing, located right here in beautiful Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Scott and Bell Publishing handle all genres and authors with all experience levels. Scott and Bell Publishing gives authors 100% creative freedom and a higher royalty split. They can be found at www.skotbell.com. That's www.s as in Sam, K as in Kite, O as in October, T as in Tom, B as in Boy, E as in Edward, L as in Larry, L as in Larry.com. That's Scott and Bell Publishing, where the authors go.